Awesome. I think we're live on LinkedIn. Tyler, I wonder if you might be able to see whether it's live or not.
I'm checking, but my general SOP for going live is I just always assume it's the case. So even if it doesn't immediately display, sometimes there's like a weird delay. Like when I go live on X, I'm just like, I think we're live, and typically we are. So we'll figure it out as we go. But I don't see it on your page, just to be clear.
Yeah, I'm seeing live, and then I guess if anyone is watching on LinkedIn, I have LinkedIn open on my phone. You can tell me whether we're live or not, and then we can confirm that.
Oh, I just got an alert that said happening now.
Okay. And then if you click on it, does it show?
It shows all of our beautiful faces. Oh, yeah, we're here.
Okay, cool.
This is weird. It's like watching an old Jackie Chan movie.
Amazing, amazing. Awesome. Well, happy end of April, and happy tax day to all my Canadian friends. I will out myself as a bad CPA who did my taxes last night for Canada. And good luck to everyone who's probably not watching this if you are in Canada finishing tax day. But I'm excited to bring on a couple of people I've been following and working with in different ways for several years, who started a little bit of an argument on LinkedIn. And I'm excited just to drill down and figure out more of the context and points of view, because I'm definitely a person who sees both points of view, but I also work with a handful of clients who have both problems. So I'm excited to introduce, first I'll have you go, Tyler, and then turn it over to you, Matt.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. Thanks for putting this together, Luke, and pleasure to meet you officially, Matt. Instead of trading hot takes on LinkedIn, I think this is probably a better format. But yeah, no, my name's Tyler Clark. I'm a co-founder of Dream Firms with my lovely wife. We live in France together, but serve accounting firms all across North America. We've been at it for a little over 5 years. We actually have a couple of our really incredible clients coming out to visit for an in-person retreat here in France on Monday. So I'm like up to my eyeballs in prep work for that. But yeah, excited to be here. And really we help accounting firms basically work with more of the clients they love and deal with less of the chaos that they hate.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler. Over to you, Matt.
Awesome. Well, Tyler, it's good to meet you. And if anything, I'm glad that the clickbait material totally worked and we get to have a real conversation about this stuff. So I'm Matt Tait. I am the CEO and founder of Decimal. We help firms start using proven playbooks for sales, operations, and everything else. So until this week, we also ran one of the largest, fastest growing CAS or bookkeeping firms in the country, but just announced that we sold that and wanted to just focus on helping independent firms be better. So I think Tyler and I both come at this from the same kind of general idea of how do we help make these firms better and successful. And one thing that we do is just all of it versus just a part of it.
Awesome. I love that. And I guess as a bit of an intro and why you might think I have any sort of authority here is I've helped scale accounting practices, including Bench, which I guess maybe we call bookkeeping, from 0 to 3,000 clients. I scaled my own practice to $500,000 in recurring subscription revenue, primarily tax. I was at Pilot and recently at Puzzle, an AI native general ledger. So now I'm at Canopy. I've been around. And I think everything finally clicked for me as far as what I've been up to. And it's basically, how can we make accounting easier? And I've seen Tyler and Matt both do that in different ways and different countries and in different contexts, as far as helping accountants build a firm that they want and helping really actualize your vision for the world through your skill set, which sounds really fluffy. But you know what? We spend more of our time working than anything else. It may as well be connected to something that you really believe in or passionate about and care about. So with that, I'm going to set the stage a little bit here as far as the argument. Matt, you basically said on LinkedIn, firms don't have a lead problem. They have a sales and pricing problem. And Tyler, you said that firms do have a lead problem because otherwise you wouldn't have a job. So Matt, I'll let you take it away first and turn it over to Tyler.
So what I was getting at in this, and I believe I also said they have a funnel problem. To me, number one, I think the thing that we should start to take out more and more from accounting is the word sales. I think it has a negative connotation. It's like the dirty words. Don't say the F bomb and the S bomb, which is sales and in accounting. I think it's really relationship management and development. And I think when you start to, really get people to think about growing their firm as building relationships, it becomes more approachable and it becomes easier. What I think most firms, most accountants truly have is a lack of a kind of desire and ability to put in the hard work to bring in the right types of clients and manage a sales funnel. I think what they think is, oh my gosh, I can just find the right buttons and hot buttons to push and my firm will magically start to grow. And that's just not true. And they start to spend more time doing the work and less time on actually managing a growth, sales, business development, relationship building process. And I think that's where the true problem comes, is that they over-index toward the wrong things. And I think that's where the biggest problem is. I also think it comes into the pricing problem, where, Luke, you've been at places. Bench is a great example of a company that did some false pricing compression in the industry and made people think, oh my gosh, I can buy and sell $500 a month bookkeeping and build a successful practice. They've been saying that for 15 years. Add inflation to that, and you should be nowhere near $500 for any client you actually have to do work for.
And that may have been high. That may have been a high price for Bench because we were doing even less than that.
Oh yeah, you were doing the 1-200, and like, look what happens when you build that type of firm. And that's not bringing the right types of clients in. And so to me, it's the other thing that I see as a big problem is these firms will start and they'll find a marketing company and they'll say this marketing company is going to bring me all these leads, and they don't, because it doesn't work. And they didn't put the work in to make it work. And they don't think about who I'm picking. And so to me, it's this laziness problem of, I'm going to just find and outsource something that should inherently live with any business owner. I don't care if you're running an accounting firm or not. If you are a business owner, hard stop. Your primary job is growth and sales. Sorry, we're not saying sales, business development.
I like using the word sales, but recently found out that one of the reasons accountants avoid it so much is it used to be illegal for firms to do sales until the 70s. So with that, Tyler, I want to give you a chance to chime in here and give us more of your perspective.
Yeah, great opening points. I think that the aversion to sales and reclassification, does a rose smell just as sweet by any other name? Perhaps, but fundamentally, we have to get people who want to buy our services. We have to learn persuasion, like Matt said. We have to be willing to do the hard work. People aren't just going to serve clients up to you on a silver platter. And if you just think, hiring a marketing company and closing your eyes and walking off and plugging your fingers in your ears is going to grow your business, it's not. All business is hard. And I think we make business a lot harder when we don't actively participate in educating the market about what we do, which is the way I think about marketing. If you just like what you do, you believe it helps other people, I think you have an ethical obligation to talk to other people about it and talk to the right people about it. And when you do that, all of a sudden, some portion of them will say, I like this so much, or I like what you've shared, or I actually implemented one of the things you shared for free, or you solved a question or a problem that I've been thinking about for so long. Some portion of that audience would love to give you money to solve a bunch of problems. One of the quotes that I like to lean on is problems tend to repeat themselves, especially in business. And so accounting, bookkeeping, tax, these are recurring problems. And recurring problems means you need an ongoing solution to address them. And so when you think about the fact that growing your business is an ongoing problem as well, it makes sense to just continually be invested in not just some random marketing, but understand, I think to Matt's point, what a sales funnel is. Like, how do you get interest at the top? How does that slowly filter through to the type of people that actually you want to work with, as opposed to feeling desperate because your phone finally rang or somebody gave you a referral, but oh wait, the referrals you're getting are just like the clients you have, and the clients you have try to negotiate price all the time, get you stuff late, have never left you a 5-star review. They're just people you don't like, and they tend to refer people like themselves. And so what I found is a lot of the clients that we work with have a firm that they happen to have, which is not their dream firm. It's not the thing they envisioned when they started. And so the fundamental thing that allows you to have your dream firm is two components: your dream clients, which means you have to be very specific with who that is. And I find a lot of firms don't take the time to define it, or they say very generic things like rich people or people who value what I do. And those are okay answers, but it's really hard to build content that speaks to such broad categories. And so when you get more specific, you can get more of your dream clients. And then obviously your dream team. And Matt and Luke were joking before we got started that Matt kept trying to recruit Luke. And, you know,
he keeps saying no.
Compliment to Luke. Great compliment to Luke. And again, it's when you have great people to work with and you have great clients that allow you to do what you love, I find marketing and sales becomes easy and things that we don't need to disassociate ourselves from.
Tyler, I think you hit on something really important that goes broader than just sales. I don't find, and it's something that we work with our firm owners on extensively, people don't take the time to define what their ideal outcome is. Number one, like, what do I actually want out of this business? That's a mix of balance and income. So what do I want? Number two, who am I serving? Who do I want to work with? Number three, what do I want to do for them? And number four, what value does that give them? You need to be able to very clearly define all four things, and then also recognize that things change. You know, we all have started businesses and been a part of starting businesses. Just so you know, your first 5 to 10 clients suck. You may end up keeping a few of them. We just sold our firm and ended up selling it with hundreds and hundreds of clients. The number of clients I had to call to specifically introduce to the firm was 6. The first clients you bring on, you're also just learning what that is, and you're learning what good revenue is. And so over time, you have to always have the understanding that at some point you are going to either fire your first couple of clients, or you are going to price them up at a point where they'll fire you. And that's natural. That's okay. And you just have to do it.
It's almost like the people who were fortunate enough to still be married to their college sweetheart or their high school sweetheart, right? Like, so that takes a little bit of time to figure out what you actually want, what you need, who you are, and then find somebody who's compatible with that. Tyler, what are your thoughts about starting with some clients that don't fit for you?
Yeah, I think it has a lot to depend on the situation that the firm owner is in. You know, beggars can't be choosers, is the old saying. And so I agree with Matt that, like, your dream client profile evolves as you evolve, right? As your firm levels up, so should the type of clients that you're working with. It should level up in tandem with you. But I just do my best to always say, like, the first couple of clients are hard no matter what. It's hard to get them. It's hard to service them. You've got a lot to learn. And so, you know, that first $100,000 in revenue, I try and just say, hey, you know, you're going to say yes to a lot of things, and then you'll realize you shouldn't have said yes to them. But the last thing you want to do is have your nose so high up in the air that you never sign a single client. Like, I think that's also a huge mistake. You got to get a little bit under your belt. You got to get revenue. You got to extend your runway. And once you do that, then all of a sudden things start to open up. You can cover your overhead. You can pay yourself. You can be more selective. So I think like I said, it's a healthy blend of both, and it tends to evolve as the firm owner evolves as well.
So now that we're entering this age of like AI agents, right? A lot of things, and having been inside of sales orgs at tech companies, there's a traditional in a sales org. I'm assuming most of our listeners are accounting firms or accounting firm owners or wannabe. And so you may not be familiar with the idea of a sales org having an SDR, sales development representative, or BDR, business development, like the junior person doing qualification, which is the first step of sales or first step of figuring out whether you want to be a client, them to be your client, and vice versa. Uh, we're now in this world where AI is offering to do so many things, including that junior level qualification. I'm curious, as you're thinking about your two approaches to helping people build the firms that they want based on their values, where does the AI agent live in all of that from a lead generation or maybe workflow point of view?
I can't hear Matt. Can you guys hear me? All right, I'll go while Matt maybe takes care of his audio or whatever happened there. So, I think the AI technological revolution we're going through, there's nothing it won't touch. It should be permeating more or less through every single department in your business or in your firm. The tactical of how that actually happens is still, I think, very ambiguous for a lot of people, but sales is one of the ones that is not that hard to get AI incorporated very quickly. Primarily because there's really two big things that almost anyone can do immediately. And I don't even necessarily know if AI needs to filter into the first one, but I think it's so important because you just don't, once you get to that level where you can filter a little bit better, you determine what filtering looks like for you. And so if you don't want to take any more individual 1040s, okay, fine. Then you just have a simple widget on your booking page and it's, are you a business owner? Yes or no? And so I think, again, like there's a lot of AI things that are exciting, but there are so many basic things that save time that you don't need a ton of AI enablement for right now, especially on the sales lens, or to your point about the filtering of the junior, that then kind of serves the opportunity up to the senior, to the partner, or whoever. But I think the real advantage for sales enablement with AI is, and I've done this with a number of clients, and I think this is one of the more exciting things because it has a real impact on, if you are going to spend time on a sales call, there are certain things you can do or choose not to do that will increase the likelihood that someone decides to buy. And if you take your transcripts from your sales calls and you upload them into AI and you just use a very, simple prompt and ask it to be, a sales coach, analyze this. If you take a proven sales script, we have a bunch of them that our clients love, and you include that and say, how close am I matching the script? What am I doing well from my style versus what have I not done so well on? You get basically a personalized sales coach that is unbelievably accurate. So I found that to be an incredibly useful use case in terms of, like, you don't need tons of AI stuff for filtering, super basic. But if you want to take it up a notch, that's a good way to do it. But it sounds like Matt's got his audio back.
Me not having technical errors, as my kids say, I was born in the 1900s, which is like really jarring because I'm just old. So I apologize. I think Tyler made some really good points, and I think there are a lot of ways where you can use AI today to take the busy work out. It's really no different than accounting. Like, we should stop thinking over the next few years about doing the work of accounting and start thinking more about doing the advisory stuff. There are three things that I don't think AI can ever take away from us, and that is trust, accountability, and credibility. You need that in client relationships. You need that in sales. You need that in business development, and you need that in accounting. What you don't need is actually doing the work and, entering transactions or writing notes into Salesforce or whatever. Hopefully you're using a cheaper CRM than we are.
But you need to have some place to record all of it so that you keep yourself accountable to managing that pipeline. And I think those are some of the areas where AI can really help. One of the areas that we have built specifically an agent for our firms is we took the thousands of sales calls that we've had at Decimal, and we uploaded all the transcripts, all the pricing proposals, all the sales notes into an AI agent. And our pricing agent sits on calls with our firm owners and helps them say, like, hey, here's some other clients that we've dealt with. Here are some objection handles that you can use. Here's the exact SKU or service that you should offer. Here's how you should price it. So this sales pricing enablement agent, that's a great way to kind of be the advisor role. So it's not just doing the rote work, but it's also the advising and being able to kind of use that knowledge. And I think that that's a really big deal. Now, let me flip to top of funnel, where I think AI has proven to be exceptionally problematic because it's gotten so good. It used to be that, like, I'm old enough to remember that you could cold call people and get sales leads. And then I'm old enough to remember when you used to be able to email people cold outbound to get sales leads. And I remember at Decimal, some of our first outbound was also using cold LinkedIn messaging. Now, as a business owner today, I get dozens of phone calls from spam. I get hundreds of spam emails, and I get dozens of LinkedIn cold outreach emails. One of the things I hate most about LinkedIn is I don't have an unsubscribe button. So I now just have copy and pasted unsubscribe. Yeah. The other day, somebody.
You wouldn't hear from me if you did that, though, Matt.
I know, but that I love you. I specifically would carve you out of that and add your LinkedIn from it. But these tools, these AI tools, have just increased the volume of communication so much. And it was one of the impetus behind my original post is I think what is actually working today is that building trusted relationships, being that kind of local person that builds referral relationships, but clearly tells that referral source what your ICP is, your ideal client profile, and who you want to work with, who you work well with. And you start to build that local network. We run what I call the network and connect playbook with our firms. And that is, you should use your network and connect with people. And you should start to do that in a real way. It doesn't have to be in person. You can do that remotely. But you're doing a horizontal. Do your local. Go with all the local really good businesses that are willing to work with you exactly how you want to work with them. But then also build your vertical. Build that vertical expertise that you have. And when you get big enough, build a second one. And you start to build that.
Matt, can you explain what is a vertical?
A vertical, a niche. Like, you work with heating and air. You work with construction companies. You work with marketing firms. You work with tech companies. Like, whatever your niche can be where you work specifically well. We have somebody that's getting ready to start a franchise that's specifically oil and gas. Like, that is his entire career has been working with oil and gas. He's also a veteran. And so he likes working with veteran-owned businesses. And those are really great niches, really great verticals that you can then add your horizontal. I just work with my network and whatever business works really well for me.
I love that. And maybe I spent too much time in Canada, but we usually say niche, which does sound pretentious. So if you have an opinion on niche or niche, please drop a comment in there. We do have some questions in the chat that I want to make sure we get to, but I don't know if you wanted to respond to anything that Matt just said, Tyler.
I prefer niche because it lets me say, don't make me niche slap you when my clients have a hard time selecting a vertical.
I like that. No, I'm going to steal that one.
Yeah, go ahead. I stole it from someone else. So, what goes around comes around. But no, I don't really have much to either disagree with what Matt said there. I think that was pretty much all right on the money.
Awesome. Well, then let's jump into some questions. And I appreciate the friendly, intentional, provocative questions we have here. So what's better, joining an established brand like Decimal, franchising, or having dream firms help build your own brand? I'll go ahead and let Tyler go first there.
Tyler and I will have very different answers here. So I'll let Tyler go first.
I'm not here to sell every single person. That's one of the core premises of dream firms. And my general answer is like a franchise will speak to a certain type of buyer. I've always positioned dream firms as all of the benefits of a franchise with none of the drawbacks. And, when I say drawbacks, I don't know what Matt's setup is at all. So like, this is just me saying, like, when I talk to people from Liberty or H&R, there are certain people who've gone to those types of franchises. And again, I have no idea what Matt's setup looks like, but you're usually paying a large percentage of your net every year. You're kind of boxed into certain systems that you may like or you may not like. Oftentimes franchises are hard to sell and come with really long-term engagements that can be very hard to extract yourself from. And so the reason I bring this up is I've had clients that have not been entrepreneurs before. And oftentimes, people who buy franchises, it's their first time being a business owner because they feel it gives them some degree of safety, proven playbook to follow, all the things. And when I've had clients buy from us, be successful, but realize they don't want to be an entrepreneur. Like, they're just like, I don't like, even though this is working, this is not for me. I don't like it. And I'm like, hey, at least now. And so, the advantage of a service like Dream Firms is you do get basically everything we have, but there are no strings attached for the long term. So that would be the primary difference maker for a service like ours. But there are a lot of advantages that come along with some really great franchises out there. And I think it just depends entirely on what the buyer is looking for.
Yeah, I would agree with what Tyler said. I think if you are uncertain about kind of what you want out of your business, then you should definitely try a service like Dream Firms, 100%. Something like a Decimal gives you all the infrastructure that you need. So I'm glad that Tyler brought up some of the older franchises in the business because they're really terrible. Like, they kind of give you a binder, which literally, who uses a binder anymore? But they will mail you a binder and say like, hey, you now have a firm, good luck. If you're really good at this, though, you are getting daily training. You are getting a community of support. You are getting an infrastructure. Yes, you do have to do things the way that we do, but guess what? They work. And when you do it really well, you have the ability to sell for more than other people are selling for. That's kind of what our acquisition proved out. And Daniel Talbot is sitting here watching this, and he helped us sell our firm, and he will be helping our franchisees when they want to sell theirs. Like, this is about building something that has that infrastructure, but it's more than that. It is, look at Dream Firms helps you with a portion of your business, the go-to-market kind of CRM portion of your business. Decimal helps you with all of it. It is the community. It is the back office, the hiring, the benefits. It's also the labor help in the Philippines. It's the building of AI agents. It's the staying on the front end of technology. We've been known at Decimal for years as being on the very bleeding edge of using technology. Luke and I reconnected because we were the biggest user of Puzzle as an AI native ledger of anybody in the world. And we transferred a bunch of clients, still had a ton of QuickBooks. We are the front end users of the betas on AI with Ramp and with Gusto and with all of these businesses, because we firmly feel that people should be able to focus on two things: client relationships and growing their business, period. Decimal helps and handles everything else. Really good franchises, really good communities are there supporting the work on a daily basis. Like, the greatest one we all know is McDonald's. You could throw Chick-fil-A in there as another one, but like, what they provide is a really high level brand. It's a proven playbook on how to succeed with that brand. And then you rely on them for the best stuff every day. They help you train your workforce. They're where you buy your produce. They're where you get your machines. That's the type of franchise that Decimal is, versus the ones that Tyler mentioned are very much they will send you a binder, and God knows where they're even buying those now. And so to me, it's, if you want to try to solve some specific portion or you're uncertain about the future of your business, go find services that help you. And there are others in other areas. But if you really want to have a proven playbook that succeeds, then you do something like Decimal. It is a much larger commitment, and we very much want people that want that commitment, but we also want people that do inevitably want to sell their business too. This is about, for us, it's about empowering independent firms, but making them successful. Too many independent firms, they fail at a higher rate than most small businesses, which is crazy to me, number one. And then number two, they are stuck doing a job. You know, you talk to firm owners, they've never had a spring break with their kids, like they're stuck in it. Or people that start their own firm. But Tyler, you see a lot of these types of people. They were a mid-level manager or a junior partner or principal at a firm. They know how to kind of build a book of business, how to do work, but they don't know how to run a company and build a business, like a really true company. And this is what I would say the easy button to do that.
Yeah, and I would just add a book that I would recommend that touches exactly on that is The E-Myth, Michael Gerber. There's also an accountant version. Feel free to check that one out. But it's the same idea, flipping from head technician to, CEO, person who's actually working on the business instead of in the business. We're probably going to wrap it in like next 10 minutes. So I think we have time for one more question. Tyler, this might be more in your wheelhouse. So if you already have 300 clients that aren't necessarily your dream clients, how would you transition your dream clients to your dream clients without disrupting my cash flow that is paying my bills?
Yeah, super common scenario, kind of built through osmosis over time. And there's also a fantastic book called Necessary Endings. And it goes back to the point Matt and I were making earlier about, as the firm evolves, the client list must evolve with it. But very rarely do we strategically raise prices. Very rarely do we look at the profit margins of the accounts that we have, which sounds crazy because these are all accountants we work with. And the idea that we need to run our own client list through a profitability analysis might sound weird to some firm owners, but is incredibly necessary for someone who has 300 clients. And is something that honestly I think should be done way more frequently than it is, but at least once a year, ideally once a quarter, maybe once a month, depending on how well oiled your back end processes are. But
do you have to track? Sorry to jump in there. I work with a lot of firms who don't track hours. So if you're not tracking hours, is it possible to still do that?
I'll say that, yeah. Wow, that was great. Nice reaction. Yeah, I mean, the answer is I am definitely a bit more on the pro time tracking side. And at the very least, you can guesstimate these things. Usually your gut's going to be right. So even if you're not clicking the track time button, you at least have a pretty good sense of what it takes, how many hours you're working in a week divided by the number of clients you have. These clients tend to take more work because they're in this type of tier or they require these services. So I'll take guesstimates over perfection, which is sometimes hard for accounting firm owners to accept and deal with. But it gives you directional correctness where it's like, okay, this is my bottom 20%. They need to go up or they need to go out. And so this is one of the Tylerisms that my clients really like. But one of the reasons people have a really hard time transitioning to the clients that they want is they never actually have the conversation of up or out, which means you either have to go up in the price or you have to exit the firm. And what ends up happening is if you leave the option for them to stay where they are, guess what the client's going to do 100 out of 100 times? They're going to stay where they are. So again, I think the upsell conversation is one that needs to happen every year strategically with contract renewals. And that usually creates the capacity to say, wait a minute. I have capacity now. I can allocate a bit more time to content production, to educating the market, to going after this specific niche of the top 10 or 20% of clients, which are, they're all professional services. They're all credential professional services. They're more like, actually, the top 10 are all within kind of like the law space, actually. I didn't even really realize that. Imagine the other 290 were like those. So that's kind of the light bulb moment. And it's a gradual transition. It's not an overnight thing, but that's usually what kickstarts the whole process.
So I would love to jump in here. I really thought that Tyler and I were going to fight over like sales and top of the funnel. We're definitely going to fight over billing hours. But before I get into that, or tracking hours, before I get into that, I actually think so. I've repriced our entire client base a couple of times, and we do annual raises on price anyway. What we did is you actually have three options. One, they can leave and you can give them that option. What we do is we say, hey, if you want to keep your same services, here's the new price. If you want to keep your same price, here's the new services. You can pick between those two. And so you're pulling down kind of what they're doing and you're giving them that option. Hey, and what I say to people and what we did is we would say like, look, our job is to make money. Our job is also to help enable you to make money. But you need to help me be able to make money so I can help you make money. I'm a business owner too. Most accountants really struggle with that type of conversation, which is like, I need to be able to make money. Like this isn't just about giving you the cheapest, freest thing. This is about me running a profitable and successful business, which I know is your goal for your company too. For me to do that, here are your two choices. Take your new price with your same services or take the same price with new services. And I think that gives them kind of that three-part choice. Every time we have done it, the best thing happened. We lost 30% of our client base, but our revenue went up 30%. That is literally the ideal outcome is you lose clients and revenue goes up because it means that your client base is getting into that more profitable business. Now let's talk about like what it's really like to run a profitable business. I firmly do not believe in tracking time. In the history of Decimal, we have never tracked time and we have never billed for time, and time is not a component of profitability. In fact, we literally tell our clients our goal is to continue to raise your price with inflation, work with you for decades to come, but to also continue to work less on your account. And that is how we will continue to build our profit margins. Is we want to provide you with the best, clearest output of work. We want to be the best advisor for you, but you shouldn't care how that happens. And somebody asked about outsourcing, and AI is another component there. Like we want to be able to use the lowest common denominators in cost to accomplish that work and spend less time working on that business. Hard stop. The way that we have always measured profitability, and I think that Daniel is on here. He can tell you that we're about as profitable as humanly possible in the space. We measure revenue overhead. And so we looked at every one of our US accounting managers and we said, how much MRR can we put on your plate every month? And we were able to get that number when we sold to about 40 to 45K a month. And if you think about what a typical accounting manager makes, call it 65 to 80 in salary, then add the 20% in benefits on top. That is a exceptionally large profit margin that you have for that person. Now you're baking in Philippines help. Our US accounting managers do no accounting work. Their entire job is to do client relationships and advising, and then review the work that comes to them through the technology and outsourcing that we use. That's how our decimal firms are set up is let's build towards that type of a capacity. And let's not track time as a version of that because I want you to spend as little time as possible. And doing that, by the way, allows you to measure and manage your capacity. But it tells your team, here's what I want from you. I want to now set the standard of what your MRR overhead should be. So this is when you're at capacity or not at capacity. Once you get to capacity, if you can continue to keep your clients happy and work less, cool. I'm good with that. If everybody starts doing that, I'm probably going to add to the capacity metric because we got more efficient. But if you want to work less than your 40 hours or so, great. Or 50 hours or 60, whatever that is. So to me, you should be measuring capacity and trying to get as efficient as possible. And to me, time tracking adds inefficiency because you have to spend the time doing it. And so it's adding an inefficient activity onto an attempt to get more efficient.
Yeah, I tracked time when I worked construction in college, and 10 minutes sweeping, 10 minutes shoveling.
I did it as a lawyer. It was terrible.
Yeah, and that's why I could never hack it in public practice because you have to invent these structures of like, how long did it take to commute? Oh, well, I stopped at Starbucks on the way. Can I bill that? No, I need to take that out. But Tyler, I'll let you wrap up with a response to that. And then I'll turn it over to you again, Matt, to let people know how to find you.
Yeah. I think that a lot of time tracking comes back to just smart process development. And again, hats off to Matt. I know Daniel's fantastic, so is Firm. He's obviously got tons of smart processes, and there is no perfect way to build a firm. There's going to be things that are right for certain people, not right for others. I know a lot of people who will never track time. I know a lot of people who go, but how do I know what my costs, like how do I know capacity? Like how does anyone measure capacity if we don't understand the time that's going into the respective engagements, what part of the engagement's taking longer than others? And so we're big fans of ClickUp, and they've got fantastic integrated time tracking. And obviously any well-run firm is deeply integrated into a workflow process tool. And so as long as the workflow process tool can deliver back to me at least some semblance of a time report, that's, again, that to me is directionally correct. Am I going to mandate employees? Did you click the button to do the thing? No. But if you're not using the workflow tool, you're certainly not going to be as efficient as we need you to be. You don't even know what to do. You don't even know how to do it. And so if we just keep an eye on that, that tends to be the really happy middle ground that I've discovered. But again, I think it's largely dependent on kind of what the firm wants to do and how they want to accomplish it. But I completely agree with Matt that efficiency is the goal, right? Like we want the firm to be more efficient. I just like to use at least a little bit of time to understand like where is the biggest inefficiency gap that we should attack first to help make everybody a little bit more productive.
I love that. Matt, if people want to hear more about Decimal franchising, get in touch with you, or maybe see you on the road, where should they look?
Follow me on LinkedIn. I will try to be less incendiary about my posts going forward. That's a total lie. But I will be relaunching our podcast soon. It used to be called After the First Million. We're renaming it to The Irreverent Accountant, which I think fits me pretty well. We'll be at Scaling New Heights, and then decimal.com is always a great place. So would love to talk to anybody, and just in general, would love to help people and kind of get through the struggles they're going with and running or starting their own firm.
Mm-hmm. Tyler, more about where to find you.
Yeah, we run a lot of free CPEs on CPA Academy, so it's a great place for people to come kind of check out a full hour of Tyler insanity. So I tend to bring the noise and the energy, so come prepared. We've also got, obviously, a lot of stuff going on LinkedIn. We've got a blossoming YouTube channel. I've interviewed Alex Hermosi twice on there for anyone who's a fan of his work. And yeah, I mean, just reach out, say what's up, dreamfirms.com, and we'd love to see if you're a good fit for the Create Your Dream Firm program.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for watching live. And if you're watching on the replay, feel free to reach out to us. I do have a consulting business I run at lukefry.co, but currently focused primarily at Canopy Tax, where we recently, I'm supposed to say Canopy because it's not just tax. We also have a lot of bookkeeping and accounting advisory firms. We recently launched some busted. I know I'm new, you can tell. So if you're curious about a practice management platform, Canopy is great. If you're not using one, I know you can scale to millions on a spreadsheet, but it doesn't have to be that hard. There are ways to do things
Terrible
in a
idea.
much better way. So thanks everyone for watching. Tyler, Matt, thank you so much for bringing insightful comments, and be well, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Au revoir.